Over the last few months, 5G services have lit up across the US, with nearly every major phone carrier offering some kind of 5G service. But there are still only a few 5G phones to go around, including Samsung's Galaxy S10 5G, which is actually probably the best S10 out there as well. Beyond 5G network compatibility, it has 6 cameras, that's obviously more, as well as over a third more battery life than the much smaller Galaxy S10. It also has the biggest screen of all the Galaxy S10 phones at the moment. And despite it being a phone for 5G early adopters, it doesn't look like a clunky early adopter kind of phone. Some of you might remember that some of those early 4G phones were atrocious looking, and there's some pretty janky looking 5G phones out there as well already. So it's been a few months since Chris Velasco tested out 5G speeds in Chicago, and this transatlantic test kind of offers proof that 5G isn't quite there just yet. So I decided to pit the S10 5G against the Galaxy S10 OG here in central London. So with a speed test app, Netflix, a bunch of app updates, and some Fortnite grudge matches, I headed out into central London in search of 5G. Unfortunately, the search took longer than expected. Vodafone has a heat map to show its service availability, and 5G spots are exactly that, spotty. Half an hour later and we still haven't found any 5G. We're in central London, but our phone is still just saying 4G, if not 4G plus. So we've come down to the Thames, running through the centre of London. Fingers crossed we can download some Netflix, play some Fortnite, and see how the S10 5G actually fares. Success, as I suspected, and as Vodafone's heat map suggested, there is some 5G signal here near the Thames in central London. So I have my Galaxy S10 5G version and my Galaxy S10 original flavour. We're going to see what difference 5G makes. Like a lot of early testers, the Galaxy S10 5G typically kept itself on 4G and largely matched the speeds of, well, the 4G S10. The visible difference then came less from blistering data speeds and more from reliability. As 4G signal choked on the S10, the S10 5G came into its own, generally giving sub 200 Mbps data speeds when the 4G devices struggled to give me 20 Mbps. It's that 10 times the speed thing, just not quite as high speed as I'd hoped. Once I had a 5G signal, episodes of Netflix downloaded in half the time it needed on 4G. And perhaps the most visible proof of 5G's potential, streaming and scrobbling through midway of an episode took seconds, while on 4G it really had to think about it. The issue might be that speed is the easy to communicate benefit of 5G. Carriers say the service will be 10 times faster than current 4G LTE speeds, but that's if everything works like it should. And that is also a very hard thing to test and measure in the early days of 5G. On Vodafone's 4G data, speeds circle around 20 Mbps on average. The carrier is promising, with 5G, average speeds of almost 10 times that, and peak speeds that are almost 50 times that. In the US, 5G networks are already seeing max download speeds that are almost 3 times as fast than peak 4G LTE networks. But that's all maximums and perfect conditions and, well, luck. Our Fortnite test came undone over a mere 4 gig update, which is possible on 4G and 5G, yes, but life is too short. So we took the phones back to the office. Well, we weren't missing much. Fortnite on both devices runs smoothly and plays like, well, Fortnite. I think you have to remember at this point that this is a game that already runs on 4G devices, and we're happy to play it on 4G devices at the moment. But 5G is ready for bigger games with bigger scope, and that's where it'll get exciting. You don't need a 5G phone to play Fortnite, watch Netflix, and download updates. But it does most of those things better, and it will do what a 4G phone can't in the future. So it's probably exactly what you thought. 5G will be great when it all gets here and works like it should, but that isn't right now. The good news, however, is that 4G networks are going from strength to strength, quite literally. They're faster, they're more reliable, they just do more, and that's great news. That, however, makes it harder to sell the advancements of 5G. It also makes it harder to sell a 5G smartphone. If you want a Samsung phone ready for a next-gen network, you can still probably wait till 2020 and the Galaxy S11. The Galaxy S10 5G is gorgeous, has a huge battery, and does everything you expect a Galaxy phone to do. But its marquee feature just doesn't make enough of a splash. For more smartphone news, reviews, and more on 5G at Engadget, make sure to subscribe.